everybody. I'm Jonathan Randall, and welcome to another episode of How You Like Me Now. We have new mic stands in the studio, and I am absolutely loving the new setup. I think it looks amazing, just in time for episode 45. That's right, this is episode 45, proving I can commit to something other than comedy, which is the love of my life, and something I've been doing for many, many years, and just can't quit. So, doing a weekly podcast, it isn't easy. It takes a lot of work, from figuring out what I want to talk about, writing, doing research, recording, editing, posting the episode, editing clips and posting them across social media. I am considering ending How You Like Me Now in its current incarnation once I reach 50 episodes. Huge thanks to everybody who's been tuning in. I appreciate your support so much. I am looking to focus more on comedy-driven projects. I hope you will join me for whatever my next endeavor is, and that you're a fan of me, not just when I say something that you agree with. I actually met up with someone who had only known me from social media, and they were totally surprised that I'm tall and slim, and they said that they thought I was short and plump. So it's good to know that that's how I come across on all my videos, as a fat, short king. I'm actually not a fan of the term short king. I mean, is that how fragile we have made short men, that you can't just call them short? You have to add king to it. Oh, your tiny majesty. Will that make you feel better about your height? I mean, are we going to start calling overweight women fat queens to make them feel better about themselves? It's kind of silly to me. Anyways, I survived another San Gennaro and learned a little bit more about myself and just how petty I am. It rained pretty much nonstop the last few days of the feast, and I was absolutely thrilled about it. I was like checking the weather app all day just to make sure it would continue raining, because I was so happy that it was ruining San Gennaro. Turns out you can be petty not only against people, but against festivals as well. I did eat a few sausages at the feast to try to cleanse the memory of getting ripped off at Lucy's when I bought a soggy sausage there last year, which I had talked about on a previous episode. And while the couple of sausages that I did get this year were way better than the disgusting excuse for a sausage I got at Lucy's, yeah, fuck them last year, none of them were really good. And the truth is, the food at San Gennaro sucks and is just overpriced. There really is absolutely no reason for this dumb festival to be 10 days and take up so many blocks. I mean, how does the mafia still have that much influence that they could keep this lame festival going? I hope they either shorten the time that it is and it's not 10 days anymore, or how many blocks it is. Thankfully, it's over, and it feels like my neighborhood has been cured of a virus, and I'm so glad to see it gone. Speaking of viruses, what should be a surprise to absolutely nobody, Donald Trump is a fraud. Yeah, hopefully that's what his tombstone will read when he finally chokes on his own ego. This week, a judge ruled that Diaper Don committed fraud for years when he created his real estate empire. That's right, the American people aren't the only ones Trump has deceived. He also deceived the banks and insurance companies when he tremendously overvalued his assets and net worth in writing when making deals and getting loans. Turns out the art of the deal is being a lying douchebag. And this is in addition to the 4 indictments Trump has. People want to say that they're just going after him to ruin his chances of becoming president again. And they're doing that with good reason, because he committed all these crimes. And they shouldn't be ignored just because he's running for president. Trump just isn't a fraud as a businessman, but as a fucking human being. Even if Donnie did fast on Yom Kippur, I don't think his sins are going to be forgiven. But I sure hope mine are. I did fast for the Day of Atonement. Now, I don't consider myself religious at all. Anyone that follows me knows that. I identify more as an agnostic. I know. Pick a side. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know. Nobody really knows. And it's okay to say that. Choosing to believe one way or the other doesn't make it a fact. And while I'm not into religion, I am into fasting and do it on a regular basis. So I figured, hey, might as well do it on Yom Kippur and participate in something that my people have been doing for thousands of years. I not only fasted from food and water, which is, supposed to be healthy for you beyond being good for you as you're standing as a sinner. But I also fasted from screens and did not look at my phone, computer, or television for only 24 hours. And I gotta say, it felt amazing. The next day, I was in such a positive mental space. I plan to do this way more. And I really do want to limit the time I spend looking at screens. I encourage you to do so. Anyway, since I fasted, apparently I'm sin-free, which, by the way, does not work at all as the pickup line that I wanted to. I thought it'd be so much more appealing now that I'm a sin virgin, but I was wrong. So I used to do a segment on the show called Nerding Out, and I wanted to bring it back for this week's episode because I have totally been nerding out hard on the show Ahsoka, which is the latest Star Wars show on Disney Plus and arguably the best one to date. It has just been so fantastic, with every episode getting better than the previous one. There's sadly only one more episode of the season, and while I am so excited to see it, I am sad it's the last one because I have not been this excited to watch something on a weekly basis in ages. I do wish there was more Chopper, though. They need more Chopper, who's my favorite Star Wars droid. Anyways, if you're a fan of Star Wars or just sci-fi or action or fantasy, you need to check out Ahsoka. It is awesome. The season finale will be next week. So the U.S. has decided that it'll allow Israelis to enter the country without visas in an agreement it made that in return, Israel will end its ban and restrictions on Palestinian Americans and other Arab Americans traveling to Israel. Personally, I think the U.S. should make it harder for Israelis to come to the country and restrict their movement like Israel does in restricting the movement of the Palestinian people. For those of you that do follow me, you may have noticed that I have been posting way less content about Palestine. Now, I do still feel strongly that what has and is happening to the Palestinian people is wrong, but unfortunately, the more I have been speaking out against Israel's crimes, the less gigs I've been getting in comedy and acting, so I'm trying to find a little bit more of a balance. Also, I speak out because I want Israel to do better as a country and as a representation of the Jewish people. I don't do it because I want it to be destroyed. And honestly, I think the notion that Israelis are just going to get up and leave and hand everything over to Palestinians isn't realistic at all. I want a better future for all people, especially the Palestinians. And I speak out in an effort to promote change so there can be a peaceful and prosperous coexistence and future for all. I'm not trying to just promote and rile up hatred for Israel. I want Israel to admit its lies and crimes and find a way to make amends with the Palestinian people, as well as establish an independent Palestinian state. Many people think that a two-state solution is no longer an option, but I think it's the only option, and hope one day Israel and Palestine will live side by side as cousins rather than as enemies. If you're not following me on social media, please do at Jonathan Randall across all platforms. You could also show me some love by supporting my Ko-fi page. I'll put the link to that in the description. I put exclusive content out there for people that show me love on Ko-fi, and I'll be putting even more content on there with the more people that join, so I hope you will. Be sure to check out my interview that's available now with Sammy from the If Not Now organization on American Jew podcast, and look for my interview coming out soon with Julia Basha from Just Vision and the director of the film Boycott. I want to thank everybody that's been tuning in to my podcast for the last year. I do really appreciate it so much, and I'll continue to make content, whether it's this podcast or on other projects. I'm still going to be doing this for at least another 5 episodes. I'm Jonathan Randall. How you like me now?